Hey, this is Kevin at Skylabs doing another video today. This time we're going to give you some tips on how to purchase vintage electronics on eBay. Stick around. So you're going to be purchasing some stereo equipment on eBay. We have definitely done our fair share of that in the past. Last few years we've been able to kind of just source locally, which has been ideal, obviously. But we've definitely done our fair share of eBay purchasing. So I was just going to share with you some of the strategies we use when we purchase pieces of equipment, and I think it should be able to help somebody. If this video is mainly for somebody that is buying their first buying their first piece of vintage electronics. This isn't for a reseller or anything like that. So if you're wanting to get into the world of vintage audio and turntable and all that kind of stuff, and you're going to be doing some buying on eBay, these tips should be able to help you make a good purchase. So here we go. Let's do it. At number 6, well, let's start right off. And honestly, you should do this for any purchases you make on eBay, and that is check the seller's feedback and see what kind of a seller you're buying from, where they're located, all that stuff. And so if you pull up an auction on eBay and you click on the seller, it's going to show you how many transactions they've done and their seller feedback score. And if they only have a couple hundred transactions, you pretty much want a 99.9% or 100% positive feedback rating. If they've got 10,000 purchases or transactions under their belt, it's not as big of a deal if they've got 98% or something like that. So keep that in mind. But you definitely want to see what type of seller you're purchasing from. A lot of people, they could be buying storage lockers and they don't really know a lot about electronics or vintage electronics. They're just kind of buying whatever they get and flipping it on eBay. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that if you don't know what you're doing, that's probably not the person you want to purchase from. If this is your first piece of vintage electronics, or you don't want to do any kind of repairs or anything like that, in my opinion, you're better off purchasing from somebody that sells a lot of vintage electronics and has been able to thoroughly test it and service the piece. That'll save you a lot of headaches. So yeah. And then number 5, this is really important, and depending on where you live, especially, you want to check with your local repair shop and ask them if they service the particular piece you're looking to buy, because a lot of repair shops have a list of units they won't work on because of problematic pieces, whether it's getting schematics or parts or whatever. They're just they've been burned on that unit too many times and they just don't want to work on it. And it's real common. Almost every repair shop I'm familiar with has a list of stuff they don't work on. So that would be the best thing you could do. I'll just throw out a model just for reference sake. Let's say you're looking for a Pioneer SX 780. I would call whoever does repairs in your area and say, hey, I'm looking at purchasing a Pioneer SX 780. Is that a unit you guys are willing to work on? It's that simple. And that could save you a real headache in 6 months down the road if you do start having issues with it. So definitely do that one. That's a good one. Number 4, ask for photos of the inside. It's one thing a lot of eBayers overlook, and but it really makes a big difference, especially with receivers and amplifiers. Well, let's say not so much with turntables, but with everything else, cassette decks, that type of stuff. Being able to see or just have one photo of the inside tells you so much. Has there been shoddy repairs in there? Do you see electrical tape? Are there wire nuts? Does it look like somebody that really didn't know what they're doing just threw some random parts in there? And you don't have to have a trained eye to see some of this stuff. hopefully I've gone through our files and found photos, because we do take photos every once in a while of pieces that people bring in to us, you know, and we hear it all the time. You know, I bought this on eBay, and we open up the lid and it's insane. You know, it looks like people were just using parts from, you know, other things around their house, like microwaves and stuff. It's crazy. So anyway, if you can get an interior shot of the amplifier, it goes a long ways. As long as it looks tidy. You want to look for corrosion, you want to look for previous water damage, you want to look for capacitors with that have vented, and that's gonna save you some headache, especially because a lot of times these units are working, even with these crazy shoddy repairs in there. You know, it's working, but for how long? And also, you know, if we open up a unit like that at our shop, somebody brings it in for repair, and we see some, you know, really shoddy work, there's a chance, or corrosion, especially corrosion, we're going to say, you know, this isn't for us. It's nothing that we would be able to warranty or stand behind. I don't think we're the right shop to service this. That's the bottom line. And then, you know, you're kind of SOL. Is that right? SOL? Yes, SOL. So, yep, get a photo of the inside. That'll save you a lot. All right, number 3. So you found the unit you're looking for, and it says serviced, refurbished, one of those trendy words that everybody likes to throw around when they're talking about vintage electronics. And here's the thing: you need to ask, what does service mean? Do you have records of what's been done? Because everybody's got a different idea of serviced. Serviced can mean, you know, they blew out the inside with an air compressor, all the way to a complete recap job, new transistors, new thermal paste, you know, the works. So there's a big difference there. And, you know, you don't want to buy something that it says it's been serviced, and 6 months down the road, you take it to a repair shop and they look in there and go, you know, these are all the original capacitors. You know, nothing has been done in this unit. And because in all reality, the person that sold it to you, once again, could have sprayed out the pots with a little bit of contact cleaner, blown out the inside with an air compressor, and slapped a service sticker on it. And, you know, technically, they're correct, you know, because service means something different to everybody. So, ask them, you know, what's been done to this? And if it has been taken to a, you know, repair shop, ask for a receipt. So, that's the next point. Number 2, and this one is super critical, maybe the most important one on the list, and this is, make sure, you know, when that unit arrives, you want to make sure it's as described. You know, make sure it's functioning as they described it to be functioning. If they say, you know, it's used and it works fine, the first thing, let's just say a receiver. Plug that receiver in, get a set of speakers on it, and then let it run. And let it run for 6-7 hours. A lot of times, sometimes gremlins don't start creeping up until components inside the amplifier receiver get a little warmed up. And so it's important to kind of put it through its paces when you first get it. You know, they might have bought the unit just to resell and maybe plugged it in for 15 minutes and let it run, and it ran fine for them for 15 minutes, and so they, you know, assumed it was fine, and in all reality, it's not. So anyway, test the unit, test it for a good amount of time, and if it's not as described, put it in for return. Do not let them talk you into taking it to a repair shop. We hear this quite a bit. I get phone calls and they say, I bought a unit on eBay and it's not working. Is this something you work on? Can we bring it in? And my first question is has it been 30 days? And we hear this as they'll say, well, no, I've only had it a week, but the seller told me that they would pay for the repair. And this is something you don't want to do. Any reputable service repair shop is going to be backed up. Everybody's backed up. It's just the way it is. And you bring in the receiver to a repair shop or the amplifier, whatever it is, and a month later, 2 months later, you get a call from the tech, and the tech says, hey, it's going to be this much. And you say, great, I'm going to call the seller and let them know how much it's going to cost. You call the seller, you contact them, and they say, or they probably won't even answer the phone, because they know at this point that 30-day warranty via eBay is done. So you own it at that point. There's nothing you can do. eBay's not going to help you. PayPal's not going to help you. You're on your own. You're going to have to pay for the repair, and you're going to get stuck with the unit. So if there's something not as described, immediately sell it back. If it's something cosmetic, maybe something you want to work out with the seller. You see this a lot where, maybe there was a little bit of damage in the shipping, or, there's an extra scratch on the faceplate that didn't show up in the photos. That's kind of common. Faceplates don't photograph well because they're aluminum, kind of reflective surface, and they're hard to see until you're in person. So anyway, contact the seller in that situation and say, hey, I feel like, there's a few more blemishes than maybe you let on. Is there something we can do? And sometimes they'll offer you, a little bit of, money back. And that's something you can work out with the seller. If not, return it. You can always return it within that 30 days, of course. So test the unit when you first get it. Make sure it was as described. And if it's not, return it. Start over again, unfortunately. Okay, the number one tip, and this mainly, it's for all vintage electronics, but it's mainly turntables, and that is, make sure the person knows how to ship a turntable. Every time before I bid or make an offer or purchase a turntable on eBay, I send a message to the seller that says, have you ever successfully shipped a turntable? If you haven't, are you willing to watch a video on how to do it correctly? And you get either one or two responses, and either they're not going to respond back to you because maybe they think you're too picky or you're going to be a problem, and that's fine. Or you get somebody that says, sure, no problem, or that, I guess there's three, or they could say, yeah, I've successfully shipped turntables. The reason why this is so important is, unless you know how to ship a turntable, it's a really fragile, hard item to ship. And I've seen, I don't know how many times I've seen turntables get completely ruined in shipping. And they're going to blame it on the shipper, whether it's UPS, FedEx, or USPS. But the reality of it is, it's the packer that didn't package it correctly. You have to remove that platter off the turntable. You should remove that dust cover and put it in a separate box. You have to tape down the tone arm. You need to remove the counterweight. You need to remove the head shell. Those all need to get packaged separately. What happens is, people put those turntables in a box just like it was sitting on their table. The turntable gets turned upside down because it's getting shipped. The platter comes off and becomes a wrecking ball inside of that turntable, damaging the tone arm, the dust cover, and I've seen it to where they're totally destroyed. I've seen the bearings bent so far, or the spindle bent so far that you can't repair it. And the turntables they're obviously not making more of these, the vintage ones obviously, but it's more devastating. You get your money back, that's not a problem, but it's not like they're making more. And this really cool turntable that you've been excited to receive shows up, and it sounds like a box of marbles, and you want to cry. And you know what? I've seen speakers damaged in shipping too. I've seen magnets. You could tell the box was dropped, and the magnet literally came off of the speaker. I've seen that several times. And then receivers, the worst thing that happens is a lot of times you get glass breaks. The front faceplate, the glass or plastic will get broken because they don't put enough packaging on it. But I've also seen people get really lucky, opening up a box with a receiver sitting there and a couple pieces of bubble wrap, and you're like, I don't know how this thing made it here, but it did. Turntables, that's not the same situation. If they don't do it correctly, it's gonna get ugly. and that's just the reality. So the most important thing to do is, with purchasing a turntable, is ask them those questions. And there's tons of videos on eBay. I'll put one in the link, hopefully, if I don't forget. And it's a video you can send to the person you might be purchasing a turntable from. Obviously, if you have a local shop, you know, 100% go to them and buy equipment if you can. There's a lot of people that don't have vintage audio stores where they live, and you know, I get it. You don't have a choice, and eBay is going to be your best bet. But I think I have a seventh, and I'm not going to redo this video. It's just an oversight. Anyway, so we'll call this a bonus tip. But if you're new to vintage electronics, once again, you don't have any business repairing or even servicing something that you buy from eBay. Do not look for a bargain. Buy something serviced, because it just has to produce audio really for somebody to say it's working. And you don't want to go down that road where you're 6 months down the road you're getting it repaired. So you're gonna have to pay up a little bit, but you're gonna be better off in the long run. Leave the bargains to people that can do some service work and repair things. But anyway, yeah, I wasn't planning on that one, but you should probably avoid the bargains if you don't know what you're doing. So anyway, if you got something out of this, you like this video, please share, like, subscribe, everything everybody says on YouTube. I know it's kind of corny, but we're trying to get some more information out to everybody, just trying to help. And if you've had a situation where you purchased something on eBay and it was a bad experience or whatever, just put it in the comments. Help somebody else out, because until you go through this process a few times, you don't really, it's all kind of foreign. So not everybody's done this a bunch, and that's who this video is for. And if you've got something you think that they can learn from, then by all means put it down there. And yeah, hope everybody's doing good, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.